Today, we're going to talk about only the ruthless. This is one of the rules of the Mafia. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of our Italian Mafia series, where we take an in-depth look into the inner workings of this famous criminal organization. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more episodes just like this one. However, even after serving their time, mobsters who have testified against their former colleagues usually end up dead anyway. The code of silence is so ingrained in Mafia culture that sometimes even mobsters' lawyers don't know what they actually representing. You need to be able to think ahead and plan carefully. You also need to be able to make tough decisions quickly. Being ruthless is not easy. It takes a lot of strength and courage. However, it is necessary if you want to succeed in the Mafia. Sometimes lawyers have to ask their clients to repeat what they told them so that they can remember it. That's how secret everything is. You need to be ruthless, strong, and willing to make sacrifices. However, if you are that type of person, then you can succeed in the Mafia world. If you show weakness, you will be taken advantage of. They know that the police are looking for information, and they know that the police are always watching. Well, even then, you should never trust the police. You need to be ruthless, strong, and willing to make sacrifices. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. If you enjoyed this video, check out some of our others that we have listed in the description below. We also have a podcast available. Just search for us in your favorite podcast player. But as always, thank you all for watching. Until next time. However, if you are that type of person, then you can survive in the Mafia world. The police have been known to frame innocent people for crimes. They may accuse you of being in the Mafia in order to get close to you and gather information. Or they may do it simply because they want to make an arrest. Either way, you should never trust the police. If you're innocent, then you have nothing to fear, right? Wrong. The police won't believe that. They'll think that you're hiding something. So the best thing to do is to remain silent and let them go. The police are trained professionals, and they have all the resources of the state behind them. You're just a civilian. You don't stand a chance against the police. So the best thing to do is to remain silent and let them go. The police are trained professionals, and they have all the resources of the state behind them. You're just a civilian. You don't stand a chance against the police. So the best thing to do is to remain silent and let them go. Because of this, they take great pains to keep their activities hidden. They meet in secret locations, and they use code names when talking about their illegal activities. This helps them to avoid detection from the police. The Mafia is a dangerous world, and the police are the sworn enemies of the mobster. So it's important to never trust a cop. You need to be trustworthy yourself, but you also need to be able to trust others. In order to succeed in the Mafia, you may have to give up certain things that are important to you, such as your freedom, or even your life. This is a difficult thing to accept, but it is necessary if you want to succeed. This is a simple one, but it's one that many people don't follow and end up getting killed because of it. This can be difficult in the Mafia world because everyone is always trying to look out for no. The police are there to uphold the law, and the Mafia is a criminal organization. There is no overlap between these two groups. Policemen and mobsters are essentially sworn enemies. So why would a mobster ever trust a policeman? Well, in some rare cases, policemen may try to befriend a mobster in order to gather information. They may invite them to parties or try to get them to open up during a seemingly friendly chat. However, it's important to remember that the police are trained professionals. They've probably done this many times before, and they're experts at it. Plus, they have all the resources of the state behind them. A mobster is never safe around a cop. Even if he thinks that he can trust him, he should never let his guard down. The police are always watching and waiting for an opportunity to make an arrest. However, it is possible to find trustworthy people if you look hard enough. You need to be strong both physically and mentally. This means that you need to be able to handle yourself in a fight, but you also need to be able to control your emotions. In the heat of the moment, you may feel angry or scared, but you cannot let those emotions control you. You need to stay focused and make smart decisions. The code of silence helps the Mafia immensely with their operations, because it means that no member will ever break under interrogation or ever reveal any information that could put another member away. It also helps to maintain power within the community because people are too scared to speak out against them. Essentially, the Mafia uses the code of silence to protect themselves. And if you want more content, check out our other channels that are listed in the description below. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. Rule no. 4 is only the ruthless survive. Now, before we get into this rule, it's important to understand the Mafia Code of Honor, or the Omerta. Omerta is a Sicilian mafia code of silence, in which members of the mafia refrain from being a witness against other members in a court of law. The reality is that the mafia is a dangerous world where only the ruthless survive. To be successful in the mafia, you need to be willing to do whatever it takes to protect yourself and your family. This includes being willing to kill people who get in your way. The word itself comes from the Sicilian dialect and roughly translates into "we know nothing." This rule of silence also extends to the family members of mobsters. You can go to jail for life, but you can't snitch. If you do, you will be killed. There are instances when the government has offered mobsters a plea bargain in which they will reduce their sentence if they testify against other mobsters. The ruthlessness of the mafia is something that is often overlooked by people who think that the mafia is all about being a big shot and making loads of money. Being ruthless doesn't mean being cruel or violent for no reason. It means being smart and strategic. One of the most important things to remember is that there is no room for weakness in the mafia. Another important thing to remember is that trust is earned. Finally, you need to be prepared to make sacrifices. In conclusion, surviving in the mafia world is not easy. It takes a certain type of person to thrive in that environment. Now that we know about the ruthlessness of the mafia, let's move on to the next rule. Rule No. 5 is never trust the police. This should be obvious, right? One of the reasons why the mafia is so secretive is because its members know that the police are always trying to infiltrate their ranks. But what if you're innocent and the police accuse you of being in the mafia? Surviving in the mafia world is not easy. It takes a certain type of person to thrive in that environment. In the next episode, we'll continue going through these rules that mobsters live and die by.